going into that topic about dealing with the narcissists at work, kind of made me think about this one manager that I had at that job. And, and I was young. I didn't see a lot of that stuff then, but looking back on it now, I'm like, oh man, that guy was definitely one. He had this habit where he really liked to drive you around. He was one of those guys that if you could drive there, he would try to find a way to, it almost seemed like to talk you into riding with him, And now that I know better, I'm like, oh yeah, well, I mean, that's so he could have all control. That's control 101 behavior. So there was just things like that I would notice. He called me up one time. He was out of town. And he goes, can you go to my house and help my wife with something? She's doing some work in the attic and she just needs some help. You mind? And I didn't. We lived close by. He was off like Mock Road. I was off New Stillwell. So they were close. So I drive over to his house. They got a big old house and big commercial fridge. I mean, big property. Guy's got a big job. And I go and I meet the wife and I help her move some stuff into the attic. I guess it was heavy or whatever. And if you're an empath, I think you'll relate. But when you're an empath, people tend to dump on you a little bit. You know what I mean? Tell you a little more than what you're really asking for. You'll be meeting somebody on the street and they'll be telling you how they had to bury a body or something somewhere, and you're like, dude, I didn't want to know that. Don't. One day I shot a man. It's just wild, the things that people will say, and I'm being facetious on a lot of that. But anyway, I remember, making my way out of the house, and the wife's, she starts complaining. She started complaining about him, and I didn't really want to hear it, because I was like, look, and then so I tried to change the subject. I was like, I'm really thankful for this job. I was like, I'm just grateful for this job because, I have a wife, and I'm trying to, build something for myself. So thank you, and but I just remember at that very end, I'm walking out the door, and she looks at me, and she goes, he's not who you think he is, Matt. And I was just like, well, I appreciate the opportunity. And I got out of there. But, guys, you're going to deal with that. You're going to deal with that. And the trick is knowing how to handle it. Knowing how to not carry the weight. As empaths, we naturally tend to carry the weight. And you have to be able to see what's going on. And whether somebody knows what they're doing or not. Sometimes they don't know. A lot of times they do, though. But they're siphoning that energy off of you because they want to see that emotional intelligence that you have. Because when you show them the emotional intelligence, they want to copy that. That gives them a little boost so that they can go out through their day, looking like they have some. But the trick, guys, is to, when you see that, to not let it bring you down. Learn to transmute it. Flip it into something positive. That's really the trick. It was a good job opportunity, though. Yeah, I was hoping it was going to turn out to be permanent, but, Would I go back to it now? Probably not. I said earlier, the unfortunate thing is those companies are filled with people that come from the same place. You know what I mean? They usually do things like that, and bringing that up, he did that too. Actually, I remember one meeting that we had where he was talking to me and he kept playing with his nose like that. And at the time, I didn't know about the whole Masonic, gestures and things like that. So it went over my head. And now I was like, oh, well, yeah, I probably didn't answer the question right or do the right sign back, because not long after that, he was like, yeah, it's not going to work out for you as far as staying here. You know? And it's like, oh, I mean, no surprise, because like I said, a lot of places like that get them from the same place. But I do honestly feel like that's a problem, because not only does our government get these folks from the same place, but the power company does, huh? So that means people who swear oath to secret societies are in sensitive positions in our government and for our power grid. Yeah.